Welcome to Haunted Horizons GHOSTCAST with Alison Oborn, Craig Cameron and Kag Allwood from Haunted Horizons. Okay. And here we are again. So welcome to GHOSTCAST. I believe this is episode 7. My name's Alison Oborn. I own Haunted Horizons. And next to me I have...
Craig.
Is that it? Craig.
And I'm Kag.
See?
Oh, yeah, I work for Haunted Horizons.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I have to put up with these two, so... And we're going to have a few announcements first. I might talk about...
Are you expecting?
That would be a miracle, wouldn't it?
Well, miracles happen.
Craig, there's something I didn't tell you.
Oh, so you can have more time
There's
off.
pesky ghosts. That's what happens when you work with ghosts.
That's so pleasant.
So we brought him. So we thought we would catch up on some news first and then we'll go into our subject. So tonight's topic is going to be, will I see a ghost? And this comes about because we get asked this all the time, is when the people come on tours, it's like, will I see a ghost? Or if they're investigating, will I see a ghost? And when I was investigating in the early days, it was always, will I see a ghost? I was very disappointed when I didn't. So we'll talk about the reality of seeing ghosts, we'll talk about different types of hauntings, we'll talk about both seeing ghosts on tours and on private investigations and things like that. So that's going to be our topic for the night. So, but we thought we'd just cover some news with Haunted Horizons because I don't think we've announced on Haunted Horizons that Kag and me are travelling again. So in May we're off to the UK to do investigations. We've yet to announce where we're investigating.
Because we haven't got a clue.
No. In a nutshell, we haven't sorted that one out yet.
No.
But instead, for August, when we go to the USA, we've sorted those out. So we've already, and Craig is coming with us. And he's so excited, you can tell by his face. Look at him. Look at him lighting up there that he's going to spend
He's
whatever
not actually
time.
told us when, has he?
No, he hasn't
For
actually.
what investigations or when, he hasn't said a thing.
No.
You've
Are
got
you
to
coming
keep
for
an
the whole
element
3
of
weeks?
surprise.
Are you coming for the whole 3 weeks or just part of it?
Well, probably the majority of it.
Are you coming to the conference?
No. Too many strange people go to those things.
So at the end of the day, what we have booked in, what we can say we have definitely booked in is... Do you remember to see a ghost, Shane? We've booked in the Waverley Hills, so we've definitely got Waverley Hills, so there'll be just the 3 of us in Waverley.
Or 2 of us, depending if he's not with us or not.
Oh no, we're coming to that one.
Well,
Oh,
we've told Craig if he's going to be grumpy, I'm going to boot him out. Well, I haven't told him that yet, but I'm telling him now live in front of you lot. If he gets grumpy, he's going to be booted out on the side of the road. So there you go. But if he's not, then he'll be coming to Waverley Hills with us. So it'll be the 3 of us. We've got it for the whole night. So pretty excited about that. We've got Penhurst Asylum. We've got hopefully Eloise. So we're just confirming that.
Who's she?
Eloise.
Is she coming?
She's pretty cool.
Hi, Jodie.
What else are we seeing? We're back to Licking Jail. If you've seen those videos where we got lots of abuse and Kag was called an old bitch, if you haven't watched that, watch it. And watch it to the end because it gets funnier towards the end. It was funny for me anyway. So yeah, look, we've got lots of exciting stuff coming up. And of course we've got Jason and Ryan from Paranormal Quest and Amy from Amy's Crypt coming to talk on Easter Friday, Good Friday, which is April the 10th. Unfortunately, the investigations with them are totally sold out now, but definitely that'll be worth coming to. And they'll be talking about what they do and all these dangerous places that Amy visits that I would never dare go to.
I don't want to go to half of those places.
We'll hopefully have her on here as well soon. So, all right, so let's get on. What's that? Karen R just put him in with the creeper at Waverley if he's grumpy. Yes.
All right, level 4.
Don't keep reminding me about the creeper, Karen, because that was always in my head. Because I have done Waverley before,
Hi, Neil.
And Beth from Access Paranormal, me and one of her friends, or one of our friends, but I became a friend as well. But there's only the three of us in the whole building all night, and I will tell you, that is one creepy building. It took a lot.
It's going to be exciting, isn't it?
Well, if you leave me outside, it's you two by yourself.
So I'm pretty glad that Craig's coming with us. So,
Chickens.
Penhurst looks pretty. I was watching BuzzFeed Unsolved. Yeah, and I was watching the episode of the Penhurst and today, and it's just like, oh, Penhurst looks pretty scary too. So we're looking forward to all that. Good evening, Neil. How are you? I just realised I didn't have the right page up to see your comments, by the way, so I'm just going to put this up, so bear with me. But Craig, we might as well start with you. Ghosts and the possibility. How many times do you get asked that at tours?
Every tour.
Every tour.
I reckon every tour will have someone who asks, will I see a ghost? Or have you seen a ghost? Or what's the scariest thing that's happened to you?
And
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. It's what's the likelihood of me seeing a ghost?
Well, I think when they first turn up, you don't quite know what the tour's about.
there we go.
And especially if it's the first tour, so it's a little bit different to
Yeah.
try to explain that sort of thing to them at the beginning. Most people are pretty good. Most people don't have the expectation to see a ghost, but you always get a lot of people ask you whether they're going to see something.
I get the emails all the time, or if people phone me up, it's like, will we see a ghost? And it's like, I wish I could see a ghost every time that we go into these haunted locations. And it's just not seeing a ghost, unless you've got a gift for seeing ghosts, all right, to seeing spirits, and which we don't. Craig might. I don't know. Craig, do you have a gift for seeing ghosts?
I wouldn't think so, no.
And Kag, unless you have that ability to see a ghost, is actually a little bit like the Holy Grail for you, isn't it? It's the icing on the cake. So if you're keeping things real, the reality of it would be quite slim. Lots of things happen. I've had lots of things happen around me. I mean, we can go into our own experiences. I mean, how many times would you have seen a ghost? And remembering how many hours Kag is in these places, and Craig and me, we're in haunted locations several times a week, several hours a night. Oh, she's counting at the moment, so I'll keep talking. We also, as you know, we travel kind of to America and England every year to some of the most haunted places and hire them for the night. And Kag and me sits in those. Craig joins us. He joined us in London last year. So we're in these places all the time, and we do get stuff happening that we can't explain, but actually seeing a ghost. I mean, you were counting a minute ago. Did you actually count?
Yeah. 4.
4.
4.
And where did you see them?
We had one at the pub in Port Adelaide, and that one that came through the doorway that one time.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, we were there one time, and then that's when I was a guest.
Was I there?
Yeah.
Was I?
And then we had.
Are you talking about the Port Dock Brewery Hotel?
Yeah.
So what was that one?
That's the one that came through the door.
Which one?
But what was it? What did you see?
Exactly.
It was just like a shadow
Went.
that just went. You know, there's a group.
Was it solid or?
It was just. I don't know. Just caught a glimpse of it. But it was like everybody started freaking out because this thing just went past the. That was only a very brief bit, and then I had the full-bodied apparition at the NRM.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that one.
No, that one was pretty cool.
And you were a guest back then, weren't you?
I was a guest. I actually saw more as a guest, which was really weird. But that was interesting because I thought it was a guest that was with us in our group, and it wasn't. He was elsewhere. So that was pretty cool. But Craig tells you that one on his tour.
That's all right. You can still tell it.
Oh, can I?
Yeah, you can. We'll let you tell that one.
So we're at the NRM again, and Sarah was there as a guest. We split up males and females. The males went on the, you can't get on anymore, can you? The caboose carriage. The females went to the ladies' carriage. Nothing much was happening. We came back to join them. and I saw 3 people come off the train. My husband was one, my son was another, and then I thought there's another guy came and I thought it was the woman I was with, it was her husband. And then she asked where her husband was, because my husband and son came off one side of the carriage, this guy went off the other side. I said, it's okay, I could see his legs underneath the train walking around. I said, we ever come around from the back of the carriage? And he actually came from the other side of the hall. So what I saw, I don't know. So that was interesting. And then I've seen something, no, I forgot Tailham Town. I've seen the shadow figure at Tailham, so I've seen 5.
Okay.
2 things at...
Oh, you saw the one where you thought it was my husband at Tailham Town.
I did. I thought it was
That
Michael.
was a good one.
I thought it was Michael playing a trick. And I laughed and said, "Oh, it's not a real person." Only if I could tell me that.
No,
No one
much
watched
there.
it.
So yeah, it took you long enough to see it.
Yeah. Well, I've been going to town for quite a while, and then we had a night where everything was kicking off. Everybody was freaking out. We had a lady outside the church that she'd had something happen to her in the Emporium. We got her outside the church. She just stood still. She froze. She couldn't move. So I left her with Michael to go and get. I go out to go and get a drink of water, and as I was walking to where we go for coffees, there was a figure walking towards me, and it was the same height and same build as Michael. And I was like, how on earth did Michael actually get from behind me now in front of me? And I'm thinking, this is a bit weird. And I thought, we don't frighten each other normally, but I just thought maybe he was just pulling a bit of a joke with me. And I got my torch, went, haha, Michael, put my torch on it, and there was just nothing there.
Yeah.
So that was a bit weird. And then 2 at Zedward.
Okay.
So did you see full-bodied apparitions or something else at Zedward?
The only one I've seen full-bodied would be at the NRM. All the rest have been just the dark shapes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dark shadow shapes.
So the one at Zedward. That.
Oh, thank you. Do we hold it?
No. You
You're
put it
holding
under
hands,
your
you
arm.
two.
Okay.
I'm playing with her hand. I haven't seen her for so long.
So I've had 2. So I had one where I walked into Zedward and I put my torch up to go back in, and this shadow figure went very quickly in front. And I thought it was my torch, but if I did that with my torch, because my torch went up, surely if it was a shadow, the shadow would have gone up as well. This actually went across. And then there was the one in cell 2.
Cell 2 is the best. Cell 2 actually sticks in my mind whenever I'm walking down the hallway now to the toilet.
That was really weird.
And I have to go past Cell 2. So Kag, as I said, she goes around the world with me, and we hire some of the scariest places out there, like Waverley Hills. And Kag is probably the braver of us both. It's like she's the one that will drag me into, especially when somebody says there's a creeper in the place, that finishes me off completely. So she's the one that will grab hold of me and drag me in there. Ah, come on. So for her to be a little bit rattled at Zedward when she came to talk to me was quite interesting. So that was,
Cell 2. That was when we were setting up to do a live feed. And it was a really dark night. I got lots of equipment in, because obviously I have to go down and set it up because Alison's Bluetooth. She can't use her hands for anything. So I got my arms full of equipment, and I got the torch in my pocket. So I'd walk down, and the only thing I got in my hand that lit up was one of the cat balls. So I turned the cat ball on to see where I was going. I went into the mirror room, no problem, put equipment down there, went across to cell 2, and there was like a shape that looked like an egg shape on the floor. Quite a decent size, and I could see through it, so I thought it looked like fly screen. I thought National Trust had put some stuff in there. Now, because I still got arms full of equipment in my arms, I didn't want to walk in and fall over something in case there was anything on the floor, because I couldn't see the floor properly. I thought I'd get my torch, so I was doing this, trying to find my torch in my pocket, and then the thing that was in the corner then stood up. I was like, oh. Shit.
the next thing she was back with me in the room going, Alison.
We have a visitor in cell 2.
Yeah, he wasn't there when we went back down though.
No,
So,
but he was reported the next day though.
Yeah.
So that was, and I hadn't told the story.
Yeah.
Which I found quite interesting.
So, yeah, and Craig how many times have you actually seen a ghost? How many times are you going to admit to actually seeing a ghost?
Well, none.
How many times have you actually seen one, though, Craig?
Depends what you think a ghost is. So in your cell 2 experience, how do you know that wasn't your shadow?
Because I was stood there and I was doing this, like that.
Why were you hitting yourself?
Because I was trying to find my torch in my pocket. I was doing... Trying to find my torch in my pocket. And it's actually...
Don't you do that when you're out investigating, just hit yourself? And...
But then I hadn't moved, and it actually stood up. You could see it rising up and then just stood up. We know where the air column is. It was there. It wasn't me, because I was still stood there. And I could see it through the flickering of the light. So the light in I hadn't moved my arms. It was just me doing that. So I hadn't moved my arms. And it actually just, you could see it standing up.
And was it see-through the whole time it stood up?
Yeah, it was just, it didn't change like in density. I could still see it.
You can still
but you can see the shape of it this time. So it's gone from like an egg shape on the floor to then standing up, looking like a figure, which I didn't stay for too long after that. Because you don't want to investigate by yourself, do you? Because that's just, that's silly.
That's not safe.
It's not safe.
And for those who don't know, who've never been on our tours, Z Ward, I'll just explain, Z Ward is the ward from our historical asylum here in Adelaide. So it used to be known as Parkside Lunatic Asylum. And Z Ward was actually the building that was used for the criminally insane. So it's a bit like a jail inside, full of cells. And of course, if you committed a crime and showed some sort of mental health issue at the time, then you were put in there. So, Craig, back to you.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think a ghost is? Well, let's say, have you actually seen... Because you're in these places all the time as well. And if you lie, I'm going to pull you up and say a few things.
Well, Abby's already called me out because...
Abby, good on you.
One thing that happened, which... The reason why I asked that is because everyone's got a different definition of ghost.
Yeah.
So if you see something you don't know and you can't identify, that's what you're looking for, which is the nature of the investigations, right? So you're going out there with all the equipment, you're trying to find stuff with all the little flashy light things, and you're trying to work out what's around, hopefully something interacts.
Yeah.
So our job is to sit down and wait to see if something comes out and try to work out what's causing those changes in the environment and whatever else we've got. So that's what we need to do, right? But the one thing in the dark you always lose is a trust in your eyesight. So when you're sitting in a dark little room, anything like a movement of a bug, anything in that little shadow or that's cast by the lights, anything like that can be misconstrued as something weird. Someone stands up really quickly, sits down really quickly, your shadow, anything can make that movement. And so you don't quite know. And because you're in dark, that most trusted sense of eyesight taken away from you. And you can't trust it. So when you see something like in Kag said, when you've got a shadow in a room, when you see the shadow stand up or move around, I'm always curious about whether that's your own movement causing that shadow.
But that would be one hell of a movement that it goes from on the ground. If Kag hadn't been crouching, and she's got no light behind her, remember, really, no direct light, then most of the light will be coming from the cell window, which would be in front of her.
Right. What about a possum?
So...
Since when has a possum gone about the same size as the
where did the possum...
yeah.
To be on the column in the corner... The columns that she's talking about is in the corner near the window that looks out of the building. So there is no light behind in the hallway, especially when all the lights are off. So, and she didn't have a torch. So surely that would mean if you've got a shadow in front of Kag, she would have to have light behind her, and the possum wouldn't be
in the middle of the...
in the room.
But the possum's closer to the light source, so that's projecting a bigger shadow. And a possum's head could look like a person's head.
But it's outside.
Yeah, but you got light outside coming in through that window in cell 2.
Yeah. This was, the thing is, I'm used to possums going around that building. I'm used to seeing things going by. This wasn't anything going by. This was something that was static in the corner. I was standing there because I didn't move because I didn't want to go any further because I didn't want to fall over anything.
Ralphie.
All right.
Slips into her.
And then, so I just stood there, I hadn't moved, and then it literally just stood up in front of me. It went from crouching type of thing to standing up.
So if I got you,
Hi, Charmaine.
if I got you to say on a
Charmaine.
scale of 0 to 100 that you saw a ghost, what would you say? Where are you on that number scale?
Oh.
Let's see how sure you are you saw one.
How sure I am fairly sure, because I and it sounds weird, and I don't. I mean, we've been all around the world, and I haven't seen anything when we've been.
So we're not prone to seeing things.
No, not in the
whole thing.
slightest. But I would have to say 90% sure.
So 90 out of 100.
I think 90. It's got to, well, even more than that. Honestly, I was, because you saw what I was like afterwards. This thing stood up in front of me. It had a shape to it. It wasn't possum shaped. It was a human shape. It stood up. It stood up about as high as the columns are in there.
So 90.
I would say maybe more.
More. Yeah. She was pretty rattled. I've never seen her rattled like that.
But anything can rattle a person, especially when you're in the building by yourself.
But it's a building where you.
But I'm in the building by myself a lot.
Yeah. It's not though. We've been in the building on our own for 5 years.
Some nights it feels different though.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It does. But I can guarantee that I would quite happy to take a lie test. This.
Yeah, but you still got a 10%
Maybe we can torture her and
chance
pull her
that-
fingernails out and make her and see if she still tells the same story.
Yeah.
No, but what was interesting for me is that I had a tour the next day. I didn't tell the group I was going to do it on the tour, but I did the tour in the middle of the hallway first. Did that talk there, and people were reporting seeing a figure in the same corner, and also hearing shuffling coming from that cell.
Jodie said it's probably killer possums.
Yes, Jodie, I agree.
Cousin to drop bears. And by the way, just a quick one. Hello to everybody who's just joined us. We will go back through your questions. I'm watching questions coming up, but I don't want to interrupt when they're telling a story. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go back through the questions.
Mel, Craig,
between.
keeping away from admitting own experiences.
Craig will
camera.
always. Craig steps around it but I do know that a couple of times he has been rattled. So, and I know he is stepping around it at the moment. So Craig,
So what was the question?
have you ever seen what you think could possibly be a definition of a ghost?
Well, are we talking about a ghost being a dead person?
We're just talking about something
about.
that
He's still stepping around it.
I know.
I'm talking
I'm going to have to
about.
slap him in a minute.
Craig sends us to drink. I'll tell you. Just like bang our head against it.
You're drinking that pretty quick too, you two.
Mine is Coke.
It is.
I'm
Coke.
driving.
Yeah, I'm not. All right, so
you've forgotten the
there's
question.
been a couple of times that you have
Anything
actually
unusual?
said that you have seen something, and we've pulled you up on it and mocked you like you mocked. Oh, let's go for a good one. Can we go for a good one? All right, here's
Salem.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Okay. So I saw
She's
a figure.
excited
I
about
am
this,
because it's
isn't
just
she?
come to me about what Craig saw one night. So I at Zedward on my tour had the shadow of a person in the mirror room right in my face, silhouette. All right. When I tried to touch them to back them off a bit, my hand went straight out like that, and everybody who else could see it freaked out because they thought it was a guest too. I just thought it was a guest. Now, then it vanished apparently in front of them after I tried to touch it like that. So, for about 2 years now, I've been telling that experience, and Craig has been mocking me the whole time until not long ago in the mirror room. Craig, what happened?
Had exactly the same experience.
Yeah.
So, in the mirror room, when you're standing in there and you're in the dark, you've got a little bit of light coming in from behind the curtains because the curtains weren't there then. So you got light coming in through there. And there was a distinct person standing in front of us. But because it was so dark, you can't see any definition, you can't see any colour. It looks like a silhouette. And I would normally say that it's your eyes playing tricks. The only reason I can't say that this time is because someone else standing next to me saw the same thing.
So what is it you saw, Craig?
I saw the outline of a person standing there in front of me, sufficiently close for me to put my arm out to see if it's the same.
And did you try?
Well, I did, but as soon as I started to move, it ended. That was the finish of it.
Gone.
But the young lady who was next to me, she said it had moved away into the area of the mirror room where no one was standing. For the record, that was the night where we had the guy taken to hospital. So.
Oh, is that the same night?
Yeah. By the time we got into because I sometimes tell this on the tour, by the time we got into the bathroom, we only had 6 people.
Okay.
We started with 20. The guy went down.
You said it was
6
I like the
people,
way-
you lost 14. That's very careless of you, Greg.
No, don't know where they went.
But you see, that was reported in front of me. I've done numerous tours where people have reported seeing the shadow, and I've never seen a figure in that room. And supposedly I had one, there's 2 guys, one that was standing by the doorway and one was standing next to me. Both said there was somebody between 6'6" and 6'8" standing in front of me. I didn't see a thing.
Yeah.
So the question is it still a shadow of a person in the room? You still get light inside the room. It's not pitch black. You still got a glow of a phone. You got a glow of a Fitbit. You got glow of something inside the room. It's not always pitch black. So is it someone else in the room? Is it someone standing in front of the person who's got the watch? Or whatever it might be, giving off a little bit of light.
But I remember you saying to me that the person was taller, and you didn't remember a person that tall on your tour.
That's right.
Yeah.
I could not profile what I saw against anyone else on the tour.
Yeah.
It's dark. You see an outline, and you don't see an outline of a person like you see, when you're shooting a target, and you see the person there. When I see her next, she's going to get it. So you don't exactly know, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you're looking at a cardboard cutout of a person. You're looking at what is a part of a shadow of something moving around, which our eyes are trained to identify that as a person in the dark that's a threat to us. Mm-hmm. We don't identify that as a killer possum because we don't think possums kill people very often. I think it's Ed Wood. So your eyes... That's what it's all about with the way your eyes interpret things, right? That's pareidolia at its best.
Pareidolia, yes.
So I'm not saying this is not a real paranormal incident.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put it on a scale of 0 to 100 as to how sure you are it's a ghost, you're never going to get higher than 90 because it could always be something else.
Yeah, there's always possibly an explanation. I'd be pretty sure that one that was in my face was 90% plus. Like, Kag would be pretty sure.
So
it literally moved away. It was like this, Craig, and that makes you uncomfortable. That's having me that close. But that's just what it's like for the guy. And it moved away. I saw it move away. They saw it move away. I didn't see it vanish, but they saw it just disappear.
So
because it moved towards the other people, so it kind of blended more by moving across. But it was definitely there.
So let's say we want to get closer to 100 from 90, right?
Yeah.
90 is pretty good. But here's the way you get from 90 to 100. The first one is you have 2 people or more see the same thing.
Well, three or four saw it.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's going to move you
Yeah.
further along the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Yeah.
Second one
Hi, Terry.
is for those people to be trusted people.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have one random person who you've never seen before come and say they saw someone standing there in a clown outfit in the corner of the room, you're probably not going to give them that credence to push it further up towards 100. When it's someone like you or Kag or me or any of our guides, what we do is we put a higher level of emphasis on that as being a real incident because we're trained and our experience suggests we should be able to identify something better than someone who's not done it before, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why people come on the tours because they can trust us to look after them and to call out something that's not real. But then we explain that when something does go down, it becomes more interesting for us.
Yeah.
So let's say we get up across to 95. Still the last couple of digits ain't going to get us up to 100, right? Because it could be anything. Now, I'm going to go back to Abby's example and I'm going to tell you exactly why that's the case. What happened at the Railway Museum is something that I for the first time told last week. It only happened a couple of weeks ago. What had happened is we're doing a lockdown in the back shed. As we're in the back shed, I'm standing timing. I've got my phone on I'm looking at my phone to time the 10 minutes. Everyone else is in trains, except for one of the girls, a lady by the name of Heidi, who was sitting further down the corridor. When she was down the corridor, she was just sitting down there and she was just being very, very quiet, sitting down on a butt. I was standing there. Halfway through the lockdown, I don't know whether we heard a noise, I don't know, but my attention was drawn down to the end of the corridor, looking down the end. I'm looking down there, I can't see anything except the end of the corridor. Next thing I know, person walks past. Person's wearing an outfit which I could identify. It was a male. I could tell you his height, I could tell you his build. It was a real person walking past that area. And it looked like they were wearing some type of beigey safari suit. So that person walks past, and I don't think anything more of it, apart from looking at him and going, I wonder what he's doing moving around. People aren't meant to be moving around during the lockdown. Anyway, at the end of the lockdown, I walk down. As I walk down, Heidi pulls me over and says, did you see anything behind? And I said, well, what did you see? Heidi says, the person moving behind. I turned around, I heard footsteps, turned around and saw the back end of someone moving past. So I said, yeah, I saw the person move past. And I said, what were they wearing? She goes, it looked like a lighter coloured outfit or a uniform. And I said, yeah, well, that's what I saw. Let's go see who it was. So we called everyone in, There is no one wearing anything light coloured at all in the group. So everyone's wearing dark. Most people do on the tours, dark clothing. So we're looking at each other going, what the hell did we just see? Because we both saw something very similar in description. So as we saw that walk past there, the next thing we tried to work out is, whether anyone had gotten into the shed and stowed away in the shed through the daytime and took that moment to escape from the shed, which is what I think is most likely, rather than seeing a full-bodied apparition.
So you think somebody broke into the shed?
Not broke in, but got in through the day. And when they heard people go around and then hid in there. Didn't look like a homeless person, but what is even weirder...
Isn't that less likely?
Well, it can be. That's where you have to weigh up the probability, which one's more likely. But here's the thing that sort of tips it slightly over in the direction of what Abby was talking. That uniform is what we saw, the outfit, fits very, very well for the army uniform of the Ottoman Empire in the First World War.
Okay.
I only found that out a couple of days ago.
Okay. With a picnic tray.
Perfect for the story, right?
Yeah.
It almost matches it. And the other couple of times, which we may or may not have done, has gone in there and sort of introduced ourselves to the terrorists when we went in there earlier that night. Me and Andrew might have gone around and said good evening to them.
Wasn't that also, around about when there was one of the members of the NRM was deceased as well?
Yeah, that was the founder of the museum. Ronald Fluck had passed away not long before that incident. So when I was talking to Andrew, our Railway Museum volunteer, he was saying he was trying to describe what Ronald Fluck looked like. And so I asked him if there's any pictures of Ronald in the Railway Museum. And there were some pictures, but none of them matched it. Yeah. And it's not so much the person, it's more the outfit. Because the person was too far away. I could tell it was male, I could tell the size of the person, but I couldn't see any distinguishing features. So the uniform is one thing that was identifiable. And again, it was someone who walked 3 steps across the corridor, end of the corridor, so there's no way in heavens you can be sure of who it was. So if it was a full-bodied apparition, in the number of times we've investigated or done tours, which would have to be over 1,000 investigations.
Easy.
Yeah. And 1,000 ghost tours on top of it. And that's in the last 8 years and excluding all the other crap that we do, right? I think it's pretty interesting that the probability of us having a sighting or something that happens to us is so minimal because we spend so much time on it. Yeah. But in all that time, that's the first time that I've looked at it and I've gone, that might be what we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
The Holy Grail is for it to stop because it looked at us, or looked at me. It walked across, peered down the corridor and looked at me. That's why I didn't think anything abnormal. But if you're a full-bodied apparition, you're still going to act like a human being.
I'm going to say, if that was somebody that had stowed in there earlier, they would have ran out, surely. They would have just walked out.
And they would have kept hiding until you lot had left.
Yeah, or
They
you would
wouldn't
have
just walk
gone,
past
or when
in full
they've gone
view.
into... They wouldn't have, We wouldn't have waited until everybody was quiet during lockdown and then sneaked out.
Yeah.
They might be irrational as well. If someone wants to hide in there, if you've got a stowaway homeless person, they might not think as clearly.
Oh, yes. I agree fully with you, Craig, on that one.
Adam says, is there security cameras in the NRM? Could there be any footage? I don't know, is there? I've never asked. We'll have to ask Andrew.
None in the back
But I
shed.
don't know if they'll have any footage from there. So.
They have infrared sensors all through the place. But
We've
no
got
camera
alarms that will go off. Terry from Licking Jail in Ohio.
Which
Terry,
we're going back to.
Terry, by the way, meet Craig. Craig will be coming with us. So there you go.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
footage. Hopefully Terry
Unless
can
he
sort of...
upsets us, and then I'll be dumping him on this side of the road.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that means I get a free holiday, do whatever I want. Hey, that's pretty good idea.
See if they get as abusive with Craig as they do with us. Terry says that lately in Licking Jail they've been seeing partial apparitions at the jail from the knees down. That's like what you saw at the NRM when you just saw the legs. Isn't it?
Well, no, I first saw the person getting off, but then because it went around the back of the train.
From the knees down, so no actual figure. It's just from the knees down.
down.
Usually it's the other way, isn't it? That you see it from the knees, or they seem to be missing the bottom part there.
Because the level of the
feet.
ground has
In England,
has changed.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
So that's interesting. That
I'm
you
looking
just
forward
see
to that one.
partials.
Hope it's still there by the time we get there.
Yeah, we're so excited to come
We
back.
are.
So excited to see them all. All right, I'm going to go back through some questions, so just bear with us because we have been ignoring you. Because
You can talk about some of yours while you're at it. What's your
Some of my what?
some of your?
I'm going to do that. Let's answer some
Okay.
questions first. We'll take a little break.
Alison
Okay.
drinks a lot though, so can we really believe what she tells us?
Abby says that she's lived next to Port Adelaide and it's an amazing place. Basically, every pub is haunted. I have to get into some of them pubs. Just for a private one or something.
Then RM, is that a real person? And if I can, I can remember that.
Just looking for questions, guys. And hello to everybody we haven't said hello to, by the way. So, January the 17th, apparently, Craig was very active. Is that the one where you saw the figure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tammy Carter, any Moonta ones coming soon? Not sure. I've got to get back up to Moonta and organise something. It's just we've been so flat out with the hospital and travelling and whatnot. It's been a bit hard to get up there. Hopefully we can arrange something for you. We'll let you know though as soon as we do. Craig wears ghost-proof glasses. Yeah, Craig doesn't like the lights that we have. It hurts his eyes. Bless.
I'm very sensitive.
Bless. Oh, Sandy. So, what's the most scariest place you have been to? Kag. Which would be your scariest?
Coming up here is pretty
It
nightmarish.
is actually, isn't it? Yeah. I think for me, it would have to be Randolph. I think that
As in, because we weren't ready for a building like that. I mean,
I think it's the fact that we were dumped in the middle of nowhere and had to ring the police if we had any issues. That was the problem.
It was just the two of us.
There was just the two of us.
Like at least
well.
at places like Licking, and we had people with us, which was pretty reassuring.
Yeah, I mean,
I think to have a host with
yeah.
you and somebody there to.
And they don't have to be with you all the time, but we
Yeah.
like to involve everybody when we go because we meet some lovely people that
Yeah.
way. But yeah, that for me was the creepiest because we had all sorts of things going off and we were just sat waiting for Australian time doing work.
plucking up courage to go out there. So yeah, that was probably. I agree. That was probably quite creepy because we were on our own. We are going back to
where's
Randolph as
Randolph?
well. Randolph is in what's the county? What's the one next to?
Are we talking England or are we talking...
No,
No, America.
Okay.
You've got Ohio, then it's the state
Is it
next
Illinois?
to. Is it Illinois? I'm sure if Terry's still watching, she can put us right. So yeah, no, that one was quite creepy.
I think the most fun has got to be licking.
Oh,
Licking
licking.
County Jail.
Licking
You can't
was
beat
just
that one.
brilliant.
You've got to watch the video.
Go and have a look at licking. One that really stands out. Funny how they're all in America. Oh, I don't know, Markham Castle.
Oh yeah.
Michael's just rustling bags in the background. Thank you. My husband's just come in and decided to put the washing away. Washing? Shopping.
The washing. It's much starch in that.
Can you be quiet?
Oh, you do.
No, you're not.
Shut up.
Well, just keep going. We can do this. We can do this. We're so good. We can do this. It's all fine.
You don't have to put it in the fridge now. Yeah.
Yeah. So Margam, near Margam is
Margam in
Wales, South Wales in England, in Wales, UK, wherever it is.
in Wales. So, yeah, South Wales. I think Margam Castle was rather unnerving, especially when we were in that back room and we had no way out at all, and we could hear heavy breathing. We're in the room in the dark on our own, and you could hear heavy breathing in the room with us and the sound of swishing material, and if
And
somebody
footsteps.
was circling the
room.
circling the room around us, and we couldn't see a thing. Actually, we were live then, so you might be able to pick that up on the live that we did.
I don't think we could have got any closer.
No, we were
Doing that one?
very, very close.
We were very,
on that.
very close
But the
indeed.
thing is, we still do it. So before everybody goes, "Oh, but you do this all the time." Yes, we do. It's still extremely unnerving when you're in the dark, just two of you. But we still do it. We still
We've never run off
We get
yet.
in there and we still do it, and it's what you're there for. And it's exciting.
We've
too,
we've talked about not going
Yeah.
in certain places, but we've done it.
Yeah,
have
we
done it. We've
certainly
never
have.
run off, so it's all cool.
All right.
What about your scariest place? Have you ever been to a scary place?
Here,
Apart from here, apart from headquarters.
this is pretty scary. I think it's pretty remarkable that sometimes when you go into different places, it feels completely different to what it did the night before.
Yeah.
If you do Zedward 3 nights in a row, for example, one night can be absolutely bone chilling, and you just walk in and something feels different and feels wrong. And the next 2 nights you walk in going, what the hell was I thinking? And it's just amazing. I've had those feelings at the jail and had those feelings at Zedward and in the church at Old Tailem Town. I never get them in the Emporium, but at the church, for some reason, you go in there, it's dark as Hades, and you get this really uncomfortable feeling. And Michael's reported it as well in different places. And it's just amazing how from night to night things can differ. And there's no change in it. Everything's the same.
Yeah.
Darkness is the same. You're the same. You just get a feeling. And it very rarely disappoints. You always have a big night when you know you walk into a place and you get that feeling.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really uncomfortable sometimes.
Actually, Lee said, just looking at some of your comments, Lee said he thought he saw one in the top floor window in the jail just before everything went nuts. That was a really interesting night. I can't remember, Lee, did I get you to film all that on your phone? I know I had one the week after, I think, as well, and I got everybody to get the phones out and videotape it. Everything went nuts. We had slamming doors upstairs, downstairs. It wasn't even windy. We had the main door. One of the main doors that doesn't actually slam just went from almost being back against the wall to bang like that. Lee and me went down, I believe, if I remember rightly, and heard a very high ultrasonic type whistle in the ear, which made me flinch. And...
Oh, no, that was reported on lockdown the other day at the jail.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Well, that actually made me flinch, and I looked across at Lee, and he had the same reaction, so he'd heard it as well. So, yeah, that was an interesting night at the jail. Same time as me. Oh, there you go.
Elizabeth.
Evie, is it? Do you nickname Evie? Eve?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was there when you saw that figure.
Yeah. So we've had a couple of times
Yeah.
where, when doing mirror gazing, where you've seen things inside the bathroom. And it looks like the image of a person standing there. When 2 or 3 people see it, everyone moves, and that image doesn't move. It's a little bit unsettling.
Oh, yeah.
Mirror gazing has really sent a lot of people packing out of the rooms. It's been really cool.
Morgan, I don't know if you guys have mentioned the ball yet, but I had someone interact with me and the ball in the main common area. That would be the day room, wouldn't it? Did anyone else experience it? We've had various ball activity in there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. The day room is quite interactive in a good way, though. I've never had anything bad happen in there. I'm the youngest one on your tour, so I'm not too hard to recognise. Craig knows you, obviously. I did an extra shadow in there one night on an investigation. Sorry, just going through. Feel free to. Morgan says you guys have to come to Renmark. Plenty of stuff around. Well, Morgan, if you can find us some stuff in Renmark, we will come up and see you. Definitely, and you can come and join us. So, okay, I think I'm catching up with these comments. Oh, sorry, Lee, I didn't even see. I've only just caught up with that comment that I just came up with, and I've just seen you saying about the dog whistle screech. Yes. Sorry, I only just saw your comment. So, yeah, it was that very high-pitched whistle. Actually, I found out where we heard that, Lee, where we heard that ultrasonic sound. It was where I found out since a prisoner actually threw himself off the cell, off the top floor, before they put all that netting there, and killed himself just below. So, interesting it was that spot that we heard it. Okay, so I think we're pretty much... Hi, Craig. Terry says, hi, Craig. No matter what they say, I'll be happy to meet you.
Yeah, me too, Terry.
Really, Terry?
I can't wait to meet you. Get away from these two.
Poor Terry.
5 minutes will be enough.
So, Randolph County... Yeah, we're going to Randolph again. We're going to... Well, we're hoping to get back to Mansville and Trans-Allegheny. So... Does anyone like watching? Hello, guys. Again, sorry, we're just going through.
I don't feel. What's that one?
What's that
interesting from Terry. Being from across the pond, do you feel more vulnerable or more in control here in the States?
That's a good, Terry, that is a great question, all right, because I feel more vulnerable over there, and I don't think it's because of the venue so much. We get, and you'd know it as well, you kind of run the tours at Licking, you get very familiar with your own surroundings. So we're very familiar with Taylor, we're very familiar with Zedward here. We know what to expect, we know how far it will go. When you're put into a total alien environment that you're not used to, like Licking Jail or Waverley, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know how far it'll all go. And I think that really is what makes it a lot edgier.
And I think as well, the conditions in their prisons were a lot worse.
Your conditions were a lot worse than what we had here. Yeah, definitely.
So you really don't know what you're dealing with.
Yeah. So definitely, that was a good question. So with the experience, what's the ratio of the feeling being positive to negative? Okay, that's a good one as well. So with the experiences that we've had, what would you say negative to positive?
We don't get much in the way of negative, really. I mean, we get people getting touched, popped and poked, but is that negative? Or is it just somebody having fun or just thinking they're being touched, really?
Well, it's how you react to it. So if you react poorly to it, if someone comes and they just poke you like this, and you react, jump and scream, you'd probably construe that as being negative. Yeah. Whereas if someone's just over here doing this just to annoy you, and it's not negative, it's just annoying, that's probably not necessarily negative or positive. I don't know whether you have a lot of positive interactions. We have a lot which are personal interactions with people coming on tours. It's sort of like they're connecting with someone that they know. And that just comes out of the blue. And it's alarming, but it's not negative. Yeah. It's actually confronting for a lot of people. So, I don't know, everything's different. I think every experience is different, and we can think or feel that they're different as well, when they're not necessarily a bad thing. And if I was a spirit, and when you're dealing with all this, I say it all the time, you got to think like the spirit would think. Put yourself in the shoes of the spirit. Because if you're standing there in Zedward and you got a couple of people looking around and you got a group of people there and you go, well, I sort of like this person with the curly hair, and you walk up to them and you start poking them like this, and you freak out. It's just me being playful. So, you know, you're going to have more of an interaction if there's a reason to have that interaction.
Yeah, I mean, most of what I've had hasn't been bad. It's almost been curious, I guess. There was, I think there's twice where I've been in Z ward, and I've actually left, and it was I've been in there 5 years, but this particular time it was a totally different feel. I was on my own. I was quite happy to stay the night there because I had to. I couldn't get home for a couple of nights because of a fire up in the hills here. So, and it was the first time ever that I actually felt like whatever was there at that moment really, really wanted to hurt. And I had actually seen a figure as well, sort of flitting along the hallway there. So, do I think it's evil? No, I've not come across anything that I would say it would be evil. Unhappy? Maybe. I suppose if it's true and when we die we become ghosts or spirit, I guess we take our personalities over with us. Then if we're a very unhappy person in life, angry person, that's possibly, like Kag, that's possibly, if it's true, then that's possibly what you're going to be like. You're going to take that over with you. You're not just suddenly going to become a happy, like Daisy in the sunshine, I'm sure. So, and we really don't know how it works. We really don't. And I always say to people, look, if I start telling you how this works, walk away from me, because nobody knows even what we're dealing with. It's hard enough to prove this stuff exists. So do you think, Craig, that what you've seen is a ghost? Would you say, what's your thought? Different hauntings, all right? Have you come across anything that you would say was an intelligent haunting that could possibly be a personality of a person?
Well, yeah, because they act like a person. And I think that's the thing, is that they have the mannerisms of an interacting person. It's like at the Railway Museum when that thing looked at me. And when they looked at me, it was like a person walking past looking at me, like any member of the group would have done. But there was not a member of the group there. So where they interact like that, sometimes you get the image, and the image of someone standing there, or the silhouette of a shadow, whatever you want to call it. You get that quite often, and a lot of people report that sort of thing. Whether that's an intelligence or whether that's how, at the certain right time they appear like that, and it's not interacting, it just happens to be in that spot. I mean, I don't know the answers to that, but when they interact with you, I think that's what you want. That's the holy grail. But the thing is, they don't overtly interact. They're there, we're there. It sort of seems like, we're just crossing over and we shouldn't be there.
But what about that one at Z Ward that Peter and our group of regulars saw?
Oh, yeah. There was 4 witnesses to that. One of them.
Well,
Peter.
there was 5 in a group. One was Peter, the guide, because the rest wasn't. We're all guests, our regular guests. They went into the mirror room to play a trigger sound. They heard a noise out in the hallway. They all came out. 3 out of the 5 saw a figure partway down the hallway. They assumed it was somebody from my group upstairs that had come down to frighten them. So they began to follow this figure. When the figure was almost at the end of the corridor, they did something we always say not to do and put a torch on it. And what it did actually lit this figure up, so they could tell you the colour of the trousers, the colour of the shirt, and the fact this figure, when the torchlight hit it, it put its hands over its head and started to shuffle. And it went around the open doors, cell 21, and went inside. They checked all the cells and they're empty, and nobody left my group.
And it was solid, absolutely
Solid figure.
But the fact that he put his hands up when the light hit him, and the fact he went round the door as well, not through the door, which means that they know how we have it set up at any given time. So, that was an interesting one, because I've never seen a full bodied apparition myself. Maybe once when I was younger, but everything that I've seen has been a solid, dark, shadowy figure.
Which is darker than the dark.
Basically.
And I had one gentleman one day say, how can you see darker than the dark? and then
You know.
when you see it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, here's the reality, all right, because although I've been running Haunted Horizons for 10 years and doing the tours for 10 years, I've actually researched for over 30 years now, 31 years now.
She's old. She's very
Yeah.
old, isn't she?
Getting old.
There's no getting about it.
Old and grumpy.
Yeah, grumpy, yes.
Pinch
Especially when husband comes in and starts rattling bags while we're trying to do a live feed.
He's going to know about that.
He's going to know about that. No,
Oh,
he's not.
yes.
No, he's making my tea, so that's all right.
Afterwards.
But at the end of the day, I forgot what I was saying now, Craig, because he completely threw me.
About how many you've seen?
Yes. So 30 years, and as I say, this is the reality of seeing a ghost for the average person. Several times a week, several hours a night, all over the world doing this as well, all night in these different locations. Here's the reality: in 31 years, probably round about 15 times that I was seeing something that I really couldn't explain. There's been other times where I've seen like misty forms or fleeting shadowy figures, but you just don't know. Like Craig said, light and darkness can play tricks on your eyes. These are
I
ones
agree
that
with
I
that.
would say I'm looking right at it and I'm watching it, and it's just I don't have an explanation. So that's not a lot in 31 years in these places when you think of it. And that's the reality when you come on tours, especially if the tour is keeping it real, all right? That is the reality of seeing a ghost. Things happening around you, sometimes interacting on equipment. Yeah, shame. I mean, we've had a lot happen, but seeing it, I wish we could say we could see a ghost every time I went investigating or every time we went into a place, and it's just, that is the holy grail. That is kind of really what everybody hopes for. So, but Zedwood has been getting a lot. People have been seeing quite a bit at Zedwood in those hallways. So we probably had a high.
I had one the other
and
day.
National Railway Museum. We probably
I had one the other day. I was doing
Yeah.
a tour, and they had a group of people
Yeah.
saying there was someone behind me in the murderer's end,
Okay.
peeking out from
Peeking
behind
out.
the
Yeah, I
doorway.
get a lot of that peeking out. One last theory, because that's kind of that's what we call intelligent haunting, where it seems to know what we're doing, it seems very aware of us and interacting. But there's also what we call residual sounds. Like Adelaide Jail, like that day that Lee was there, we were getting doors slamming everywhere, sounds. And yes, we saw one door slam, but down the hallway, there was no doors moving. It was just the sound of slamming doors. And I've heard that before, and rattling keys and the eyepieces going on when the eyepieces aren't moving, and footsteps. And the theory has always been that buildings have held on to this. It's happened over and over again. They hold on to this and they replay it under certain conditions. I don't know how you feel about that. There is another theory that I quite like. Quantum physics theory.
Well, you got to ask why they're interacting in the first place. So let's make a big assumption that, the afterlife's real and you get a choice of doing whatever you're doing in the afterlife, and you can float about, and for whatever reason you're deciding that you're going to stay localized around Zedwood.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a spirit are around there and you're hanging around there, what are you going to do? Like, how does a residual spirit or an intelligent haunting develop? Which one of those ones have we got there? Have we got both of them there? And why would I choose to go to Zedwood, hang around there, and only sometimes come out and talk to you guys, or come out and poke Kag?
Mm.
Why would I choose to do that?
Well, why?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Is I don't know the answer. To
We
the
don't know
question.
the answers. Exactly.
But there's got to be a
So-
common sense answer to it, doesn't it?
But if you had people coming into your place, you'd be a bit curious about them.
Well, you would want to prevent them coming in.
Why? Maybe you
Because
maybe you embrace people and visiting.
Okay, so let's say, for example,
So they don't have to interact, do they?
so we've got
But they do.
can you switch it off? So if you're a spirit and you come out and you're standing there and someone says, I saw a figure, why aren't the other 19 people in the group seeing a figure? Like, you would anticipate that everyone would see you if that was the case.
Wish we knew.
So can I turn it on and turn it off on the other side? Can I show myself to only certain individuals?
Or is it all in here?
For us.
Well, no, maybe this is just playing with ideas. Maybe whatever it is can affect our thoughts and what we're seeing. Or maybe it's just they don't exist and our brains play tricks.
What about possession? It probably goes more to that theory that if they can influence what happens inside our heads, they can get inside our heads, push us out, and then go checking things out.
Without going into some of the things that happen at Tailwind Town, which you got video of. The other theory, which I've always... I'm going away from the things that are interactive. We've got to finish in a minute. I do believe we're probably trekking over, are we? Yeah, that started late. I forgot to put the microphones on.
Okay.
So, very quickly, one last theory, and because Craig is actually very intelligent compared to Kag and me.
That's not hard though, is it, really?
Because Craig actually has done physics. He's quite bright on that. What do you think of the theory that, you know, when you see fleeting shadows, you smell tobacco, you hear piano playing or sounds that nothing's moving, but you're hearing it. What do you think of the theory, like the string theory, that sometimes, like, the past is still happening around us, and sometimes that clips, and we actually are hearing the past, but it's still happening in the present. We're just hearing it.
I don't know what it's got to do with strings, but...
Well, I don't know, because I'm not into
I
physics.
think that's something completely different.
Okay. Well, there you go.
There's a lot of theories out there which could be used to support what we see happening. So it's really weird because there's what I think of the multiple universes theory, and multiple universes theory is pretty much
That's the one I'm
suggests
thinking of.
that every decision that can be made is made, and a new universe comes out of that. So there is a unlimited number of copies of this universe getting around. And if those universes for some reason come in close proximity, are drawn together or are moved together, then you can get a residual haunting coming across. And we interpret that crossing over or the pushing together of the two universes as a ghost, because you're seeing someone else in the other universe. And that's why they're not interacting with you. They can't see you. You can see them because, for whatever reason, they're in a position where, they can't see their universe hitting yours. So you can pick up that image of something else that you could construe as a ghost. So the multiple universes theory, a lot of people have used to support the ghost phenomena. I don't think that's okay. I don't think the multiple universe theory exists, but it has actually been mathematically proven.
I was going to say, hasn't mathematics proven that there has to be at least 10 other dimensions that we can't see?
Yeah, because they're all wound up. It's like when you have a look at a hose. You see a hose right up close. You can see it's got a big nozzle and the water comes out of it. Put it further away, you can't see the nozzle. It's just a point. But if you turn it on its side, you can see it nice and long. So it's got two dimensions. Move further away and it looks like a point if it's 100 meters away. So that's got 3 dimensions. But we've got 2 other dimensions or 1 other dimension. Everything gets older, so time, and everything takes up space. So space-time is another dimension as well. So we've got 4 basic dimensions that we all operate within. On top of that is the scientists have now proven that there's another 6 dimensions. And I think the current number is 10.
Yeah, I heard that there is 10.
So
10 or 11. Yeah.
to us, it doesn't matter. It's not going to have any relevance to what we're doing, because I don't think it can be linked to the ghost phenomena. But there's a lot of things about quantum physics that you can have things which come out of nowhere. You can have energy which spontaneously erupts, and then all of a sudden it just goes away again. So what if in that particular period of time your brain's quick enough to be able to make an image inside the brain and detect that? What if we have an accelerometer in our head which can pick up those type of things? If we can do that, we can process those things. It might actually be one of the reasons why one person out of 20 experiences something. And it could be construed by us as being a smell or a sight or a touch. And that could be one of the reasons why you get something like that.
Tess has said apparently in psychology, and I'm reading it out so these guys know what the question is. Apparently in psychology now there's a theory that some people are highly sensitive and take in more than others. About 10 or so % of the population are high on this sensitivity. Maybe that's only 1 out of 20. That's why only 1 in 20 may see something.
Is that something that's linked to autism or hypersensitivity? Is that something like that? Are we talking about the same phenomena?
Don't know. So maybe Tess can fill us in on that.
Because psychology has more of a link, I think, to the whole thing of what we're doing rather than looking down the road at quantum physics. I think they're basically mutually exclusive. But I think if you go down the way of about how we think, because on the other side they're talking about energy and thought. Thought's something which is all pervasive. So when you start dealing with thought, you've got no restrictions of the physical world. So I could think something and that thought comes through quicker than, the physical barrier of the speed of light. So which defines the universe and defines all the physical constants. So if you're dealing about thought is completely different. I can have the same thought, and if we can link together on that basis, we can talk to someone on the other side of the universe instantly. Thought doesn't have to go by the same.
No, not the same as autism. So, just a quick one, guys. I used to do security at Glenside, work the night shift. Sometimes my shifts were more than entertaining, to say the least. Then just last year I did the Z ward, and whilst listening to the guide, I heard a distinct man's laugh right in my ear. Yeah, I've heard a man coughing, clearing his throat, muttering. Yeah, that's quite common in there. So cool that you heard that, Belinda. All right, well, we've gone over the hour again, so we probably have to sign off. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to point out is, yes, it seems possible that we have seen things on the tours, but you got to think about the times we're in there. All right, if something's going to happen, one of us is going to be there for it. So this is probably why we are there to see this stuff. The chances of seeing a ghost for you being there for 2 hours is what we hope and we do get, and it's just like it's the holy grail. You're more likely to, like others have said, have experiences like hearing voices, being touched. That's the more common stuff on the tours. Seeing, I wish we could do it every time. So I wish it would make my job a lot easier, guys.
It wouldn't be nearly as much fun though.
It wouldn't, would it? Because that's the whole thing about the mystery of it.
The anticipation.
Yeah. If we were seeing it all the time, it would be considered normal, not paranormal, or natural instead of supernatural.
Yeah.
So, and we would have no skeptics in the world. We would just take people in there and go, there's a ghost. So, and that's just not the way. The fun is in the hunting as well. So, and trying to get that bite when you cast your line. So we love it. We're very passionate about it. So, and hopefully when you come on the tours, we can take along and be passionate. By the way, if you want to follow our adventures overseas or here, when we do live feeds, when we privately investigate, we do live investigations for you lot. We always do them on Haunted Horizons. We give a certain area in Haunted Horizons, but just be aware there's a lot more going on in the background for our subscribers. So if you want to subscribe and help us continue to do this stuff for free, Patreon page, patreon.com/Haunted Horizons, and come and join us. There's a private page where you can all come and join the family there. Everybody gets on. It's a nice little family there at the moment. So, and if not, we will just see you on the page, I hope.
Just before you go, just one quick one. When we go overseas and we're doing a joint investigation, all of us over there, I reckon anyone who's on Patreon who is we're live feeding to and they're watching us, what we should give them the ability to do is set a challenge for any or all of us to do something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
We would do that live, within the realms of decency, we'd do it live.
And being allowed in the... So if you want us to go, like, either vigil in some... after we've taken you around someplace, then we have to do it.
How cool would
That'll
that
be fun.
I reckon that would be interesting. Yeah.
A dare. A dare.
And no singing or dancing.
Lots of
Oh,
singing.
no, Craig, we're singing. Trust us, we're singing.
God help us.
All right, we're going to go.
Cool.
Enjoy the rest of your night, and if it's daytime, wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your day. And we are off. So see you again in a fortnight. Bye.
Ciao.